12-year-old, and I'm sitting there riding home, and we're having a conversation and listening to what they're talking about on the radio, and they're talking about each person's liability for our current debt. And at this point in time, when I had this conversation with him, his portion was $27,000. And this 12-year-old guy's got about that big around and said, that's not fair. And I said, I know it's not fair. The fair comes in August. Why it's not fair? But the simple fact of the matter is we got a bunch of thieves up there that have taken it and have spent it, and now everybody's still saying they want their money, and it's not there. And my point is we got to stop thinking like that, and we got to start thinking about the ones that are coming behind. And somebody's going to have to stand up and take the bullet, and that's going to be the older generation and my generation, so that the generation that's coming up behind us will have the America that the founding fathers intended. So I'm asking him and the rest of whoever wants to listen, are you willing to fall on the sword for your kids? I am. I'm not expecting to get it. I've heard people say, well, we can cut it off at 45 and change it. And then you got people like Barron Hill saying, oh, it's a time, you can't invest in the stock market because, you can't guarantee your return. Well, you can't guarantee your next breath either. But Social Security's rate of return is less than 1%. And
I want to make sure
1% in the market.
Sir, thank you. I want to make sure we have voiced a number of questions. Just to clarify the record here for those who are keeping score, Barron Hill actually has gone on record, on video, in fact, indicating that he believes investing some of those monies in the private stock market is the way to go. And evidently, based on his TV ads, it's no longer
he says one thing,
his approach.
He doesn't know.
I've heard that. Yes.
Why does our incumbent congressman don't want to do a debate down here in southern Indiana?
There was an invitation tendered.
Voters want to have a debate down here.
We'll have to ask him. Maybe ask him at the next town hall meeting.
It's over the phone.
Yeah.
I don't know why anybody expected anything different from Barron Hill. I mean, when he endorsed the president 2 years ago, 4 days before the primary, how much money do you think he got for doing that? And his district didn't even win. I mean, Obama did not win the district. So he didn't care what we wanted. He didn't represent us then. He went and gave his electoral vote to Obama 4 days before the primary. So you think he cares? No. Because he got all kind of money. Did you see all the ads he had on? It's unbelievable. So I think Barron Hill proved then he didn't care what we wanted. He just took a trip to Switzerland. I mean, he's having a ball.
Yes, sir. I like that T-shirt, by the way.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I like my hat, so good.
All right.
I want to congratulate you on the good interview you did on your birthday at 6:30 in the morning with Bill Bennett. I hope to get more interviews like that in the next couple of months on national radio. Due to the fact I heard that radio interview at 6:30 in the morning is an indication that when I get a chance, I'll listen to talk radio. And most talk radio is conservative, thank heavens. And a lot of the conservative pundits are saying that Republicans have to be something more than the party of no in this election in November. And there's also rumblings that the national Republican leadership is working on another contract for America. And I was wondering if you, since you won the primary and are the candidate for 9th District, if you've been working with the national leadership on putting together a contract for America.
It's an excellent question.
And if so, what are some of the items we expect to hear in that contract?
Yeah. It's a question that I've asked the Republican leadership in Washington several times. I'm told that they are putting together some sort of agenda. We've seen it sort of grow over recent months. There's an initiative called You Cut that you can find if you Google it, where where they're actually consulting with the American people and getting the people's thoughts on those specific programs that the people themselves don't value. There might be opportunities to save some of our money during these difficult times. So that will be one of the initiatives. I think some sort of spending amendment or a balanced budget amendment ought to be part of this package, and that's something that I have made known. But let's be real clear here. If our Republican leadership puts forward a contract for America, and I don't agree with all the provisions here, I told you before, I'm going to be an independent voice. I want to do what I think is in the best interest of the country after consulting with all of you. So we'll have to take a look at whatever ultimately they put together. We do have to be a party of ideas, though. I think here in the state of Indiana, we have seen a lot of new ideas come down the pike, and it is, during these difficult economic times, it's one of the things that spared us from worse times, is having a good government here within the state, even if there's not so good government in Washington. So it is there's an obligation, I think, to provide what I like to call some thought leadership. Now, when no is the right answer, though, I will cast an enthusiastic no. I mean, that national energy tax, cap and trade, comes up again. I'm going to vote no, because that's what is in the best interest of the country. And I can tell you right now, as I said earlier, I mean, this health care legislation, we got to get rid of, we'll start with the most egregious provisions of it. I'm going to vote no on those too. All right? So there are a lot of no's that it is necessary for a member of Congress to cast. One of my chief criticisms of Washington, of Baron Hill in particular, he just doesn't know how to say no. Yes, 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 we'll figure out how we pay for it later. Pay-go, we'll figure out how we pay for it later. I mean, it's obscene. And so we need a member of Congress who provides constructive ideas, but also knows how to say no. And it's not always easy to say no when you've got all these special interests lobbying you for funding for their particular causes. I've got, yes.
So can you tell this group what the three main platforms or ideas that you're going to be campaigning on for the rest of the campaign?
Visit my website, and there are more than 3 there, but that will give you some sense of a number of things that I think are very important. Let me just throw some of them out here, and I'm not sure these are in any order of priority, but one, the balanced budget amendment. Makes a whole lot of sense. It was asked during a debate in our primary election if I could pass one piece of legislation, or I thought it would best benefit the country. I indicated a spending amendment or a balanced budget amendment. You know, our politicians just can't help themselves. They can't help but borrow from foreign bankers and shower us with goodies and hope they're going to get reelected out of it. And people don't want a member of Congress to loot our treasury on their behalf anymore. We've had it. So that's one of the initiatives. We have to simplify our tax code. You know, it's too darn complicated. It's too complex. The cost of compliance is so high, it kills jobs. And it especially impacts small businesses like my father's. You know, you have to go out and hire somebody to keep all the receipts, and there are a lot of sharp people out there who are in this line of business, but we would do well and would benefit the country if we simplified the code. That's another thing we ought to be doing. We got to earmarks. I indicated before, they undermine trust, so that's another opportunity to reform the system there. And then we haven't talked about national security tonight, but you know, the most important vote a member of Congress probably ever casts, we could say it's who are you going to vote for Speaker of the House of Representatives, but the substantive vote, the most important substantive vote, is that vote you cast indicating whether or not you're going to declare war on another country or commit our men and women to go into harm's way. And so there will most certainly be legislation that is required to ensure that our troops, when we send them in harm's way, are adequately funded. And I will be a voice as well. This may not occur through legislation, but I'll use whatever bully pulpit I have as a member of Congress to ensure that we are not handicap